October 1927, the jazz singer comes out as the first feature film to include not only a synchronized score, but dialogue that matches the character's lips. Introducing sound into films completely shook the film industry at the time, with many directors and critics disagreeing with the idea of sound films. Despite this, sound has always been a part of film, with movie house orchestras being a common practice for years. Clearly, people believed that music was vital to films, but why? What makes music so important? Music has always been an important part of my life. I played piano for a few years, I've dabbled a bit in musical theater, whether that was being in musicals or in the tech booth. Furthermore, I've grown up around people who are involved in the performing arts, playing instruments, or are just Bradley.
So it got rhythm, I ain't got rhythm, I ain't got rhythm.
Having this experience with music helped me understand why music has always been important to me. It's not really something that people think about. Many people will play a game, watch a show, or see a movie without ever wondering why they react emotionally during certain moments. Why have scenes such as the flying scene from Titanic been so iconic for decades? It's because music creates emotion. In this video, I want to talk about some of my personal favorite examples. They're not the most popular, but they each had their own impact on me and still do have an impact on me. Plus, no one needs me to sit here and talk about why the music in Jaws is so iconic. Instead of talking about a super iconic movie, I'd rather talk about a movie that is really special to me. A Silent Voice is my absolute favorite movie of all time. Its gorgeous visuals, the amazing soundtrack, heart-wrenching plot, I love this movie. Its messages about anxiety and letting others in shake me to my core. There are plenty of examples in this masterpiece of a movie which the music takes the scene to the next level. Also, I'm going to get into spoilers for this movie. A Silent Voice is truly an amazing film, and I highly recommend that you watch it before continuing with this video. A Silent Voice follows Shoya Ishida through his struggles with anxiety, depression, and suicidal thoughts as he attempts to make amends with Shoko Nishimiya, a deaf girl he had bullied in elementary school. After Shoko transfers to another school, Shoya begins to get bullied himself. As a defense mechanism for this, he shuts everyone out of his life, shown by the X's that are put up on people's faces. Whenever Shoya lets someone in, their X disappears. Now, the scene that I wanted to talk about in this video. This scene takes place while Shoya is returning to school after being in a coma, which is another long story that you'll just have to watch the movie to understand.
OMG, this is so good. Oh, hey, let's go to the gym next.
I can't believe he's back in school. Ah, their store is amazing.
Do you guys have any ladies? Yeah. That's her over there.
We get to see Shoya's struggles with letting the world in, shown by how he is staring at the ground. Gentle piano plays throughout the scene, showing how Shoya is very distant from the world around him. He takes a breath, finally ready to let go of his anxiety. The X's fall, and then... The music ramps up as Shoya finally lets everything in, showing how he's overwhelmed by the sudden liveliness of the world around him. He takes a look at his friends and family who helped him get to this point. Shoya breaks down as pictures of his friends flash on the screen, all until... The music slows down as we see Shoko, the girl that Shoya had tormented all those years ago, his best friend and the person he loves. During this montage, we are shown this image that is also shown as the opening to the film. We're never given an explanation on what it means, but I believe it's meant to represent how Shoya sees the world, how he is trapped at the end of this endless tunnel. However, as we are shown this image once again during the montage, we see the light at the end of the tunnel getting closer and closer, with two figures becoming more distinct, all until the camera reaches the light and it covers the whole screen. And then... I believe this light at the end of the tunnel is meant to represent his life without anxiety, and the two figures representing Shoya and Shoko, as she's the one who's truly able to lead him through the tunnel and into the light. Man, I love this movie and its ending. This movie, despite having Shoya and Shoko falling in love with each other, is not a love story. It doesn't need to end with a kiss, the two characters getting together, or anything like that. This movie has always been about Shoya's struggles with mental health, so ending with Shoya being able to overcome his anxiety and finally let the world in is the perfect ending for this movie. However, the reason why this ending is so effective is due to the music giving you the opportunity to feel the emotions that Shoya is experiencing. We get to see how Shoya shuts everyone out, we get to hear how Shoya doesn't listen to the world around him, and lastly, we get to experience how it feels when Shoya finally lets it all in, thanks to the music matching his experiences. I want to wrap up this part of the video with a quote. Music is essentially an emotional language, so you want to feel something from the relationships and build music based on those feelings. Howard Shore, Canadian composer. I'm a total loser, I won't lie to you. I like anime, playing video games, you name it. And some of my favorite games of all time have been Nintendo games. Their games and soundtracks have always had such a lasting impact on me. I mean, listen to the Gusty Garden Galaxy theme. Or the Great Fairy Fountain theme. Music can be used to enhance a setting or location in a story, seen with the grandiose orchestra of the Gusty Garden Galaxy or the peaceful serenity of the Great Fairy Fountain. However, for the next part of the video, I'd like to talk about how music can be used in a more subtle way to convey emotion. The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild is my favorite game of all time. I love the opening world, the combat, the lackluster story, all of it. However, something that this game nails perfectly is immersion. When starting Breath of the Wild, you wake up in the Shrine of Resurrection. The silence in the room conveys the uneasiness that the player is feeling when starting the game. However, after opening up the door and leaving the Shrine of Resurrection, the player is treated to this. The opening cutscene for this game acts as a lesson that the developers were trying to teach the player, and a simple one at that. This is the massive world you get to explore, but there's something that I want you to notice about this world. There's not really a booming or iconic soundtrack in this game. Even once you beat the tutorial and leave the Great Plateau, you're just treated to more silence. When writing the music for Breath of the Wild, composer Hajime Wakai wanted to make the music as simple and realistic as possible in order to immerse the player into the world. Hyrule in this game is in ruins after being ruled by spooky bad guy Ganon for 100 years. The fields and roads are lifeless, further justifying the lack of a booming soundtrack. Despite the fact that I'm a huge fan of the booming soundtracks of previous games in the series, I think the peaceful piano of this game is absolutely perfect for its world. It helps create a contrast between moments like this and moments like this. But it's not like the entire game has this sort of ambience. For example, many of the villages and towns in this game have their own unique themes, due to these places being full of life and culture. Players feel so welcome in these villages due to their warm, peaceful themes. The music that plays when fighting in an enemy camp truly makes the situation feel so intense. And lastly, The final boss music of the game truly makes you feel like you're in this climactic battle for the fate of the world, despite the fight just being The point is, this game uses its unique choice of soundtrack to create a perfect ambience for the open world that this game is famous for. With this ambience that's created, this game is able to completely immerse the player into its world, giving the players a sense of ownership over this game. This is their world, their adventure. They are the ones who are going to restore this world and defeat the terrible boss at the end. It's for this reason that I find myself coming back to the game over and over again. I just love to experience this game's world, fight its bosses, and truly experience what the creators of this game wanted me to experience. None of this would be possible without the superb immersion in Breath of the Wild, which is entirely due to its masterful use of music and ambience in the game's soundtrack. Once again, I'd like to end a section of this video with a quote. "Music is not sound. Music is sound to organize emotions in time." Kirsten Zimmerman, Polish pianist. Music has always had such a strong impact on me. It, along with lame stuff like video games and anime, acted as an escape for me during the hardest parts of my life. It's for this reason that the choices made in soundtracks are so integral in all of the different types of media. The power that music holds when it comes to creating emotion is so unique, and it's what makes certain moments so iconic, such as the final Agni Kai from Avatar with its haunting choice of soundtrack, the opening scene of Up with its gorgeous music. I can go on and on. But instead, I will just end this video with a quote. "Music touches us emotionally where words alone can't." Johnny Depp.